in the morning and you see the sign, Chili's Care Center. But what the parents see is Chili's Cares. This is a very tough journey, and anyone that shows an interest in them and shows that they care, that is a huge thing. And because of the service who give a chili coloring page to a child for $1, those dollars have added up to a facility that is so nurturing to our kids. Don't underestimate what you do for our kids, because I see it every day.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Wilkerson.
I'm Terrell.
Hi, Terrell.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
Hi, Shannon. Nice to meet you. Welcome to St. Jude, and welcome to your building, the Chili's Care Center. We are so honored to have you here to see what contributions Chili has made in pushing St. Jude into the future of research and treatment for our patients. You know, when the hospital opened in 1962, our survival rate for the most common form of leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, only had a 4% survival rate. But it's thanks to dedicated people like yourselves that we've been able to raise that survival rate from 4% to over 94%. So you can imagine how excited we are to have you as a part of Chili's, as a part of our family, because with your support and your customer support, think of where we can achieve for all these catastrophic diseases that, as Danny said, no child should die in the dawn of life. You're helping us to make that vision a reality. So let's go ahead and come and look at the Chili's wall. We wanted to make a focal point. As soon as you walked into the Chili's Care Center, you'd have something that would show you the relationship between St. Jude and Chili's. So we have our Chili's wall. Up here we have our video that shows the patients and their families and all of our visitors the story of Chili's and St. Jude, how it got started, the relationship, how it grew into what it is today. Now we have down here is our Chili's Cam. Our Chili's Cam is a huge hit with our kids, like yourselves. They get to be on camera and get to be a celebrity, and we actually change the angle every now and again to keep them interested and interactive and having fun. Because that's what we wanted to showcase as well, is not just your relationship, but the excitement and fun that you have when you go to Chili's. We wanted that excitement and fun and them to love Chili's the second they walk in. You'll notice over here that we have some peppers that were inspired by the peppers that, thousands of peppers that have come across the country thanks to the campaign, and the kids can customize their chili wall. And we have the peppers up high for the taller kids and lower for the kids that are smaller and those that are in wheelchairs. They can come by and make their wall personalized and special. Over here, I'm sure you noticed, was our Hope Boat. The Hope Boat is, of course, the first point of contact that our families make if they have any questions about coming into the Chili's Care Center. We have a guest service representative here to guide them, to get them started into their day. The Hope Boat was actually a contest that our patients participated in to name it. And they wanted to have this beautiful desk named the Hope Boat because, of course, at St. Jude, that's what our patients find, and it's guiding their way. You'll see we have beautiful pieces of artwork, 600 pieces throughout the entire facility. 200 were created by patient artists, 200 are photographs taken by our St. Jude photographers, and 200 were art pieces that were created by local Memphis artists. It allows us to have warmth and excitement and energy in the building, and the cool thing is we can actually rotate the pieces out to continue to keep the building feeling fresh and exciting. Next, we're going to head over to our waiting area and let you see some of the waiting areas for our clinics. Now we're overlooking the waiting areas for the Chili's Care Center. And it's not your average hospital waiting area. As you can immediately see, it's full of color, it's full of pieces of art that our patients have created as a part of their art therapy program. We have a playroom right here. It's our Child Life Playroom. And it's so much more than just play. It's also therapy. So some of the art pieces you see down here was actually created through a form of therapy called syringe painting. Because new patients, often what kids are most afraid of when they come to St. Jude is a syringe, a needle. It's very scary, and any kid you come across, no one likes it. And so what we have is we have the opportunity to take that fear away by playing with these devices before they see them in the hospital environment. So our syringe painting, the kids take these, the containers, the plastic containers, fill them up with paint, and then pop, and they splatter paint everywhere. It's terribly messy, but extraordinarily fun. And by the end of the day, you'll notice that the kids get more and more comfortable with this piece of medical equipment, so that when they see it in the clinic, it's not as scary. So it's so much more than just play. It's really making sure that our patients are comforted and are adjusted to coming in and what they're about to experience. Now up here we have our beautiful waiting area for our diagnostic imaging, CAT scan, X-ray, MRI. These allow us to identify whether cancer is still present, or to look and see if how the status of their treatment is going. Also to make sure that everything, their organs, their tissues are still healthy, haven't been impacted by the disease or the treatment. And so it's really critical, a part of following the patient's development by coming into diagnostic imaging. And so to welcome them, they have different activity areas with game consoles, because every little kid loves to play video games. So they can come in and play video games while they're waiting to be seen in the clinic. They also have a beautiful 1,000-gallon fish tank, which is very soothing and engaging to our patients. It's the focal point of the room. They immediately come in and they want to come over and look and see if they can find Nemo or Dory. And it's actually a replica of a coral reef. And it's maintained, the fish are fed, and the tank is maintained by actually volunteers at the hospital. So our hospital employees spend their off hours making sure our patients have beautiful things to look at. And so Chili's Care Center really allows us to support not only the physical treatment of our patients, but also allows us to support their social needs as well, so that when they go through this experience, they're completely surrounded with comfort and love. And that's what makes a difference for a family when they're told their child has a catastrophic disease. This becomes your home because you're surrounded with love. The design of the building was important, of making it fun and bright and colorful for our kids. But this was actually an inspiration from one of our physicians that works in this building and researchers. He wanted to make sure that our patients had natural light, that could see the sunshine. Even when they're down in the lowest level of the hospital, they can see the sun. So they developed these light wells so that brings light from the very top of this building all the way down to the lowest floor, so the kids can enjoy a little bit of sunshine on a pretty day. Now, leading you over here, we have a beautiful area that honors and recognizes our relationship with Tri Delta sorority. Delta 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 actually joined the St. Jude family in 1999. They wanted to become a part of St. Jude by creating campaigns to raise money for the hospital. So you see this beautiful wall honors their dedication and leadership. In 2007, as we were building the Chili's Care Center, they actually promised us $10 million in 10 years to help sponsor this floor. Now, Tri Delta also has another exciting new opportunity with not only Tri Delta, but also Chili's, where it's a chalk-off. They are inviting individuals and groups to come together and purchase pieces of chalk to help color a giant chili pepper on college campuses across the country. And the groups or individuals who have the most piece of the chili covered will win. But it's a wonderful way that Chili's and Tri Delta are coming together to help save the lives of the children of St. Jude. I'm actually a St. Jude survivor. Back in 1991, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and sent from Missouri to Memphis for treatment. And even though it was only 6 hours away, it felt like it was a world away. And while my family was familiar with St. Jude, we supported them in the little ways that we could, we had no idea what to anticipate, being a family coming into the hospital. We were terrified. As we drove in, I slept, and my parents talked about what would they do? What would they do when we came to the hospital if they couldn't afford to pay the bills? Because quite honestly, we were far from ever being able to afford this treatment. And so they were afraid that my life or death would depend on their bank account. And as a parent, you can imagine how devastating that fear is for somebody. My mom and dad talked about selling everything they owned, their house, their cars, to do whatever it took to make sure that I would receive the treatment that could potentially save my life. They also talked about what would they do if they came to St. Jude, and the doctors told them there was nothing, there was no hope for them at St. Jude, and sent us away. No parent is ever prepared for that conversation with their child. My mom said that that was one of the darkest 6 hours of her life, after finding out that I had my leukemia and that drive-in of not knowing what to expect. But the wonderful thing was, as soon as we arrived at the hospital, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning by this time, there was somebody standing at the front doors waiting for us, who knew my family by name. And before we had made 4 steps into the hospital, he embraced us and said, "Welcome to St. Jude. There are 2 things I need to tell you. First, don't worry about money. It's been taken care of. And second, this is the best place for Lindsay to be. This is where she'll receive the best possible treatment at St. Jude. That is made possible because of groups like you, because of compassionate souls like Chili's becoming a part of the St. Jude family. My family was given all that they needed to make sure that we were receiving the best possible treatment, provided with free housing, provided with transportation to and from the campus. Our meals were covered. Even my education was provided for thanks to our St. Jude School program. And it's made a reality due to the relationship of Chili's. Because I don't know if you're aware, but it takes about $1.4 million a day to operate this hospital. But that's a number that our patients do not know. They are not burdened with the financial responsibility of their child's illness. That allows the parents to only focus on the health and well-being of their child. So what an incredible gift you are giving to our families when you're out there asking people to color a pepper and taking care of the amazingly crazy crowds during Prophet's Day. Think of what you are giving our patients and our families. You're not only giving them hope, you're giving them comfort. You're giving them a place to stay and food to eat and the best possible treatment and the best possible chance for survival because of your relationship. Thanks to incredible people like yourselves, I was very fortunate. I was on chemotherapy for nearly 3 years, but then was diagnosed as, or considered cancer-free. Got to go home as a healthy, happy kid. Got to go back to my normal life and see all of my dreams come true. My dreams of going back to school and falling in love and getting married. And actually this Saturday I will celebrate my daughter's 3rd birthday. And it's just fantastic. These are gifts that the dedicated staff of Chili's are giving to our families. So I hope you realize how important all of you are to the St. Jude family, and what you do for us we could never repay, but we are eternally grateful. So every detail about the Chili's Care Center is really thought to making sure that the patients are well cared for, and they're always our priority at St. Jude. Another fun fact about how we make them our priority was just our traditional maintenance and upkeep of the building. We actually have a floor and a half between each floor so that we don't have to interrupt our patients as we're doing duct work or any cleaning or anything like that. We can do that without ever having to interrupt patient activity during the hospital. So we have inpatient floors directly across from us, and this beautiful connector which allows our patients to go back and forth between both buildings without ever having to be out in the elements. And this allows our patients that are inpatient to be transported and not interact with the general population. As you look out over here, you can kind of see a glimpse of our campus, which is growing all the time. It's about 65 acres. See this brown building right here? This is the Berry building. That building is dedicated to housing nursing education, as well as some of the offices of our physicians and researchers so they can do their private research work. Over here we have our Grizzlies house, which provides a home away from home for our families. We have 3 housing facilities: the Memphis Grizzlies house, the Ronald McDonald house, and the Target house. Okay. These housing facilities accommodate our families determined by their length of stay. So the Grizzlies house are for families that are here for short term. But it's a really pretty campus. They did a lot to make sure that they have green so our kids can get out and play and have a little fun outside. That child life department I told you about, we do a lot of activities such as Silly Field Day and get our kids outside to do silly field activities. Okay. The highlight of that day is they actually have a silly string war where we give the patients silly string. Okay. And we send their doctors and their nurses and their medical staff, and we're like, have at it. Take out all the stress you want to on that nurse that gave you chemo today. And so the staff comes back in, and they're just covered head and to toe in silly string. And you know, it's fun, it's therapeutic, and we just have a great time. And it's incredible when you think about what the hospital used to look like in 1962 when it first opened. It was a very small facility, and as you know, most patients were not surviving. So as I look across the campus now that's so large, it reminds me of all the life that is within these walls, of all of the patients that are now given the best chance at their treatment and their diagnosis because they're at St. Jude. They're receiving cutting-edge treatment, therapy, diagnostic processes, all because of what they're able to receive at St. Jude. And the Chili's Care Center is allowing us to push forward into the future, of allowing us to offer these opportunities for new medicines, new research, The floors above us are all dedicated to making sure that we find these answers to these diseases, such as brain tumors, because it's really our goal, and as Chili's has taken on as well, that we make that reality that no child should die in the dawn of life. You know, I owe St. Jude my life, as well as thousands and thousands of other children. And we're so grateful for what Chili's is doing with the hospital, because you're helping to save the next generation of patients. So that next family that's frightened and uncertain, when they walk into these doors of this building, they'll have hope because of you. So on behalf of all the children of St. Jude, thank you for your hard work and your dedication and your compassion for the children of the hospital. Well, thank you again for allowing me to share my hospital with you, and thank you for taking your experience back to your peers, your co-workers, as you go back to Chili's and tell them about your experience. You know, remember, you're carrying my voice and the voice of every single child at St. Jude. So as you're out there interacting with your customers, working on the pinup campaign, working on Profits Day, you know, I hope you carry this in your heart, that you are truly making a difference in the lives of the children of St. Jude. So thank you. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.